Let's start the show. As many of you may know, and others may not know, I am a reporter with the Gateway Pundit, and I was at the Capitol on January 6th and have had my own issues with the federal government and watched as they have put many behind bars who don't deserve anything more than maybe a ticket, a fine from the federal government, but they're being treated like they're terrorists. Well, looks like some good news might be ahead that could overturn many of the cases for those currently behind bars or retrials for those who took plea deals. NBC News reports that the Supreme Court rules for a January 6th rioter challenging the obstruction charge. The closely watched case focuses on a charge that former President Donald Trump also faces in his election interference case. Now, this is a left-wing news publication, so we'll just go with their wording. Here's what they had to say. The Supreme Court on Friday ruled in favor of a former police officer who was seeking to throw out an obstruction charge for joining the Capitol riot on January 6, 2021. The justices, in a 6-3 vote on non-ideological lines, headed a win to defendant Joseph Fischer, who was among hundreds of January 6 defendants, including the former President Trump, who have been charged with obstructing an official proceeding over the effort to prevent Congress's certification of President Joe Biden's election victory. The court concluded that the law enacted in 2002 as a part of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act after the Enron accounting scandal was only intended to apply to more limited circumstances involving forms of evidence tampering, not much broader array of situations that prosecutors had claimed that it covered. It goes on to exclaim this was Joseph Fischer here left inside the Capitol. The court sent the case back to the lower courts for further proceedings on whether the Justice Department could still prosecute Fischer under the new interpretation of the law. Attorney General Merrick Garland said in a statement that he was disappointed by the decision because of the impact that it would have on the Justice Department's January 6 cases, although he stressed that it would not affect the bulk of them. The ruling limits an important federal statute that the department has sought to use to ensure that those most responsible for the attacks face appropriate consequences, he added. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote in the majority opinion that the government's view of the laws defies the most plausible understanding of the statute in question. 18 U.S. Code 1512. The provision carries prison sentences up to 20 years, and these prosecutors have been seeking maximum sentences for the January 6 defendants. And the Justice Department's interpretation would criminalize a broad swath of prosaic conduct, exposing activists and lobbyists alike to decades in prison. To prove a violation, prosecutors now have to show that the defendant is impaired the availability or integrity for use in official proceedings of actual records, documents, objects, or other things used in the proceedings, Roberts wrote. Now, what is obvious about this is that many laws are being stretched, right? We had a lot of the cases for those that were in militia groups, which are not only protected under our Constitution, but actually are fully legal, and there should be not discouraged from joining a militia. If people were a part of these, like the 3 Percenters, Oath Keepers, or a part of any sort of like fraternal club, like the Proud Boys, they had their charges also upgraded on domestic terrorism grounds, organized criminal racketeering grounds, and had sentences increased to over a decade. And get this, for something as simple as breaking a window and or shaking a fence, as we saw with certain members of those groups. Now, that's horrible. I mean, should you get a ticket? Is it a misdemeanor? Should you be vandalizing a building? No, it's the people's house. We pay for that. Don't be breaking into any part of the building. But should you be going to prison for over a decade for nonviolent crimes? Absolutely not. It's despicable. But, of course, there was some dissent going on. And what ended up happening here is that the judge was actually joined by 4 other conservatives and 1 liberal. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was in the majority, which was such a shocker. The other 2 liberal justices were joined by conservative Amy Coney Barrett in dissent. Jackson wrote a separate opinion saying that Fischer's conduct could still be covered by the narrower interpretation of the law. The joint session of Congress on January 6 to certify the election results plainly used certain records, documents, or objects, including, among others, those relating to the electoral votes themselves. So is everyone off the hook? Not entirely just yet. But remember that the government is willing to do and will do something crazy in the coming years. That's why Americans are getting prepared now for whatever emergencies are ahead with emergency supplies from My Patriot Supply. Right now, since 2008, My Patriot Supply has been helping Americans prepare for the worst. Now, what can you get from there? Not only can you get emergency generators, not only can you get water filtration supplies, but right now, what American patriots are backing up or ordering off the shelves and getting stock of are 4-week emergency food kits. They cannot stay out of the customer's carts. I know I was able to buy a few for myself. I have a good supply of emergency food. It's there for me when I need it. They last 25 years because they're stored in these 4-layer awesome packaging that keeps it fresh for decades. They have over 2,000 calories, so you're never going to be hungry in those emergencies. And right now, you can order as many kits as you need and save $50 on each one with free shipping included. Stock up on these essential food kits at preparewithvnn.com. VNN.com. That's preparewithvnn.com. PREPAREWITHVNN.com. Check it out today. Well, in the midst of all this, it makes me kind of sad because the court couldn't just say, look, this is an illegal prosecution of all of these January 6th, protesters. We shouldn't be allowing this. This is lawfare, but here's the country we live in. They're prosecuting Trump as well. I'd love to know your comments down below on what you're thinking about these cases. Have you forgotten about the January 6th political prisoners? I know I haven't. But give me your comments down below. Should they just be released? Should Trump pardon them? I'd love to hear your feedback. If you want more of these reports every day, remember you can subscribe directly to our page on rumble.com @VigilantNews, or you can sign up to our X account /Twitter @VigilantNews. If you prefer to get these videos directly sent to your inbox, make sure you grab our newsletter and sign up today at vigilantnews.com. I'm Elijah Schaffer. Have a great rest of the week, and may God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.